who's winning, right? What is your definition of winning from both the Russian and the Ukrainian perspective? One would guess the Ukrainian perspective is we kick all Russians out of Ukraine. Okay, maybe. But the Russian one's more complicated. What do you think winning or losing looks like for the Russians, and are they in a good place with that right now?
I think that in general, Russians are getting what they want right now. Okay, we've got more of Ukraine than we had in 2014. There hasn't been a declaration of a holistic mobilization. The whole population isn't mobilized. The economy's increased its capacity, but it's not quite on a wartime footing yet. If Putin wanted to, he could just everyone's mobilized, everyone's fighting, we're going to Transnistria, right? But that was never the goal. The goal was to do it losing the least amount of stuff as possible, people, equipment. There's also, you see that mentality that's like, okay, well, I can get more people. I can get visitors from other countries to come and fight for us. And there's a tipping point, and I just don't know enough about math and economics to figure out where it is, where the cost of paying all these mobilized soldiers more money than they're paying conscripts, the cost of manufacturing, new munitions, precision-guided munitions, tanks, and then the compounded effect of the sanctions, where does that kind of culminate, where the Russians are forced to make different choices, right? Okay, I have to choose to do something different. But from all angles you look at it right now, that tipping point is not for a while. And from the Ukraine side, other than the 200, yes, and since August has Russia made some dramatic gains, I would say, compared to the rest of the conflict, or at least the last year, 18 months, sure. But that's not long lasting. And, as we continue to give them aid, and we're not the only ones giving them aid, actually, there's 54 countries giving them aid, and money. There's the assistance funds as well that are coming in. Ukraine's mobilizing a lot to activate its defense industrial base so they can make their own equipment in combination with what the rest of Europe's giving them. And so far, NATO has stayed cohesed. As long as that continues, I really don't see a change to the situation. As long as all of those dynamics on both sides keep going. When people say win, I think there's, especially from an American perspective, there's this notion that one day everyone's going to wake up and be like, okay, we're negotiating, it's over. But when you look at Moldova, Georgia, Nagorno-Karabakh, that's not the case. They've been involved in Russia's been involved in those countries since the 70s. This is the way it's going to be from their perspective. And Chatham House just put out a paper in the summer. They were the first people to start talking about frozen conflict, and then kind of okay, cool. However the end of hostilities happens, now what happens next for Ukraine? And their estimate, I think it was UN and maybe the International Monetary Fund, they said it was going to cost $486 billion a year for 10 years to fix the damage that Russia has done. So it's okay. So even if Russia wins, does it really win? Because it's got to if they want to take advantage of all of the natural resources, the technical industrial base, all of the things that Ukraine has to offer economically, they're going to have to rebuild a lot of it. So I'm sorry. I wish I had a better answer of what winning looks like, but.